You're watching the Compulsive Gun Buyer.
What's up, guys? If you're looking to get into long-range shooting without breaking the bank, you might want to watch this video. Let's talk for a second about scope manufacturing, specifically where scopes are made. This will of course depend on the company, but more broadly, it depends on the tier. Regardless of where your scope is assembled, the glass inside your scope will most likely be coming from one of 4 places depending on how much you paid for it. Cheap scopes use Chinese glass. Slightly nicer scopes source their glass from the Philippines, with Japanese glass being used for professional/duty grade optics. European glass is generally considered the highest end glass, and you will typically see these optics on very serious long-range setups. Often, especially in the civilian market, you will see one brand with product lines from China, the Philippines, and Japan. Primary Arms, for example, has the SLX, GLX, and PLX lines. Similarly, Vortex has the Strike Eagle line with Chinese glass, the Viper line with Philippine glass, and the Razor line with Japanese glass. In a previous video, I compared the Primary Arms SLX 1:6 scope against the Trijicon VCOG, which is about 4 times more expensive and has Japanese glass. The results were about what you'd expect, with the Japanese glass VCOG far outperforming the SLX. So when my friend asked me to compare his Vortex Strike Eagle 3:18 against my Razor LHT 4.5-22 power, I expected to find similar results. But I was in for a bit of a surprise. Before we jump into the side-by-side footage, let's review the spec sheets for each scope, just so we know what we're comparing. And if your kitchen table looks like mine, hit me up in the comments. We should probably be friends. Besides the whopping $750 price difference, 2 differences are immediately apparent. First, the Strike Eagle has a variable zoom of 3:18. That's a zoom ratio of 6, by the way, whereas the Razor goes from 4.5 to 22, which is a zoom ratio of just under 5. We will mostly show the 2 scopes at 18 power since this is common to both. The second big difference is weight. The Razor LHT is designed to be a cross between the professional rifle scope and the lightweight hunting scope, and so it's more than 5 ounces lighter, which is huge. Quick note, in both cases I found the scopes to be lighter than their recorded weight, just something to keep in mind. With the Razor, these weight savings seem to come with some rather interesting design choices, like the illumination being controlled by a button, kind of like a pistol red dot almost, rather than a more standard knob like on the Strike Eagle. Another more interesting design choice is that the Razor has a pretty low max elevation adjustment, only 75 MOA or 22.4 IMRAD, compared to the Strike Eagle, which has more than twice the adjustment range at 154 MOA or 45 IMRAD. And I don't want to brush this off because this fact alone could make the Strike Eagle a more capable optic depending on your use case. Eye relief numbers are similar, but we'll do some independent testing on that later. Okay, let's take this outside. Zooming in with both scopes, I take the Razor all the way to 22 power, and then back it off to 18. The shore is about 600 yards across. Right off the bat, I gotta say I'm impressed with the Strike Eagle. Chinese or not, this is some good glass. I'll give you a moment to just take in the view. Let's take this test further and see how well colors are presented through each scope. Here we are showing a towel with a colorful print. I believe it's supposed to be a crashing wave at sunset. Available now from Costco, not a sponsor. And in both cases, the colors seem pretty true to form. As a brief aside, I wanted to make sure that these images are sized properly since I am blowing them up on the screen. So here you can see that the towel is the same size in both views when compared against these identical rectangles. Now if we blow up the image a bit more, again, same size, the Strike Eagle still looks great. Apart from the slight differences in reticle, I don't think I could tell the difference. It's only when I blow it up significantly that I can see anything to complain about. If you look at the edges of the towel, you can start to see what are called chromatic aberrations. Here you can see that the colors are bleeding into a rainbow. Moreover, when we switch to a different towel with less color variation but more shapes, the pattern is not quite as crisp on the Strike Eagle. So there is a difference, but not nearly what I'd expect, and probably not enough for your average user to notice. Now it's become something of a staple on this channel to do some independent eye relief testing, so let's do that now. Let's start with the Strike Eagle at 3x. we get 4.6 inches for the max eye relief and 3.2 inches for the minimum. At 10x, we get 3.2 for the min eye relief and 3.8 for the max. At the top end, at 18 power, we get 3.5 inches at the minimum and 3.8 again for the max. Vortex reports 3.8 inches on the website, so I think that we've confirmed that this is accurate. If you keep your eye around 3.5 to 3.8 inches away from the scope, you should have no problem throughout the magnification range. Okay, let's switch to the Razor. At 4.5, the min is 3.9 and the max is 5.5 inches. At 10 power, we get 3.6 at the min and 4.6 at the max. At 18 power, the minimum is 3.8 and the max is 4.4. Notice that while the range from min to max is shrinking as we go up in magnification, the optimum distance from the scope is staying rather constant, around 4 inches, which is exactly what Vortex reports. Even for 22 power, the max is 4.2 and the min is 3.9. This is different from LPVOs, which tend to have shortened eye relief as the magnification increases. So to compare the eye relief measurements of the two scopes, I think the best thing to do is to compare the range from min to max at each of the levels of magnification. If we put these on a table side by side, we get the results shown here. It looks like the Razor edges out the Strike Eagle in every category, but notice that both scopes have a constant usable range of about 0.3 inches. In other words, if you keep your eye between this range, you'll be good across the magnification levels. So practically, this is almost a tie. Okay, so let's tie all of this together. For half the money, again, that's $750 compared to $1,500, and you can get both for less, by the way. Find me on Instagram and message me if you want to know how. For half the money, you get a very capable optic, dare I say, just as good, and in some ways even better. You get a very usable 3x low-end magnification. You get better housing features like an illumination knob and higher max elevation adjustment. The eye relief is totally acceptable for both optics. You don't quite get the same max magnification with the Strike Eagle, and most significantly perhaps, you add 5 ounces to your rifle. But all in all, it might be a fair trade. Oh, and I didn't even mention the free throw lever that comes with the Strike Eagle, which makes it really easy to change magnification without making it too easy. It's got that perfect smooth but tight action. Whew, man, gonna have to take a cold shower after this. Anyways, the construction on the scope feels great. So to be very reductionistic, but not too far off base, is 5 ounces worth $750? But then, I don't really know what I'm talking about. Maybe a more experienced eye will tell you that the Razor really is much better. This is why I show you the footage. Sure, I'll give you my take on what I'm seeing, but the video's usefulness is not limited by my limited experience. So let me know in the comments if you are as impressed as I am with the Strike Eagle. Thanks for watching, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, you know the thing. I'll catch you later.